Dr. Skeleton. Wow. Welcome everyone. Thanks for coming on a beautiful Thursday night. I was thinking coming here what it is that we're doing if someone was watching. And in the next 2 hours or so, we actually come to meet the Buddha that will become. Yeah, so it's funny that you should choose this venue to meet yourselves for your future. So I feel very privileged to be able to be here with you as you get to find out who the hell you really are. So having said that, please leave your older selves out there, and if they're sort of lingering in memories or ideas or hopes or worries, just push them out the window a little. Let them wait for you on 4th Avenue, because you've got an opportunity in the next couple of hours to really connect, really truly, not metaphor, not idea, really truly connect with that thing that you could become in the next 2 hours. And it's these couple of hours a week and then what you do thinking likewise that actually produce that it produces that being. So if you're hoping to get better, you're hoping to achieve some sort of realization towards something greater, it's not going to happen outside of you, and you're meeting them, you're developing them now with classroom hours, with your attention, with your hopes, with your motivation, with your aspirations, with your efforts, with your questions, with your thoughts. It's that practical stuff. Oh look, there's all these familiar faces from Arizona, it's a little weird. So please think about that for a second while I drink this glass of water with my left hand. And then we got all these stories to tell you in a minute. Okay, so anyone here not meditated before? Good, welcome. So let's meditate. Before we do that though, the idea here is you're requesting teachings. You're offering a perfect world in exchange for you getting realizations. So you offer a really good perfect world so you can get really good realizations. And technically I'm not supposed to teach unless someone asks me. So I'm doing it. And just, it's in your mind, it's in your heart. And then of course the other one is about taking refuge, which is what the class is about. So Jonchu bardu dakni kapsuchi daki chunyen gipe zonam ki drola panjir sangye drupasho chidam soki choknam na Jonchu bardu dakni kapsuchi dahi chunyen gipe zonam ki drola panjir sangye drupasho chidam soki choknam la Jonchu bardu dakni kapsuchi daki chunyen gipe sonam ki rola panchir So make sure you have a nice, comfortable seated position as you get to figure out who you are. Right? And make a commitment not to move. We just got back from a 10-day meditation retreat in Arizona, and we had some of the most incredible meditations together. It's incredible when you meditate with a group of people how much better your meditation is, particularly if you think not screwing it up for the next person. So if you're absolutely still, if you're absolutely committed to not screwing it up for the next person, that commitment so someone else can have a perfect meditation actually makes your meditation intensely beautiful. I know, because when I got back I couldn't meditate. So there was no one around to hold me firm. I'm like, I can relax, I can, so don't do that. So I'll guide you through a quick meditation, and then we've got a lot of content and a few people to introduce you to a few special people. Where are they? No. Oh. They're ones in the box. Oh. Okay, just checking. So take a comfortable seated position. Make sure your back is straight, the base of your body is firm. Your eyes are shut to a degree where there's a little bit of light coming in, but no shapes. And just breathe. Allow your body to relax into that state. Your shoulders are slightly back. And scan your body for any tension and release that tension in the legs, around the torso. If you could tuck your tummy just a little bit, not forcefully, enough to lock your lower back in place. And the tongue sits usually towards the top of the palate, or the top teeth where the teeth meet the palate just rests there, which means you won't be swallowing throughout the meditation. And if you've got any tension in your brow or your eyelids, and a good way to lock your facial features into place is to allow the corners of your mouth to smile just slightly, and that opens things up for you. And just breathe. Watch your breath as it enters and exits your body. And now watch for a sensation inside your skin, inside your body, as you're breathing naturally, a sensation of gravity, an energy inside of you which locks you down and pushes you downward. There's a downward force or wind moving in your body now. Try and connect to that. It makes you solid. And at the same time, there's an opposing force, an upward wind that's pulling you up from the tip of your head. And that interplay between those two forces keep you balanced. And now with your mind, press it tight against your breath as it enters and exits your body, and at every entry, the insides of your body are becoming translucent, the organs, the blood, the skin, the inside of the skin, the bones. With every breath, things inside are becoming more and more transparent until you're left with an infinite blue, sky blue, infinite in size, but contained within your skin. Now, if you have a heart lama or a heart teacher, ask them to please come. Really ask them to come and sit in front of you, facing you. It's just you and them. If you don't have such a being, just think of the most evolved being you can think of and ask them to come. Invite them to come and help you connect with that enlightened side of you. And observe them in front of you as a moving thing, beautiful and with all the qualities that you admire in them. They are breathing, they are smiling, they are happy to be next to you. They hold all the answers to your questions. They are available to you and they are love. Now generate some kind of gratitude or awareness of their highest qualities, the qualities you admire in them, the ones you hope to achieve, and bow to that, admire that, and in doing so you prostrate in your mind. And as you think of that, spontaneously in your heart you want to thank them somehow. And so you make them a most perfect offering, something of beauty. Maybe it's a good moment in your day where you did something fantastic, a motivation or a thought. Or it could be the most sublime feeling you've ever had. Offer them something of beauty, and as you see them accepting it from you, whether it's mentally or physically, feel how they are filled with happiness. And now we're going to remove any obstacles in our conscience to meditation by thinking back of a moment in the last day or so where you did something that brought some negative impulse into the world, something you did that could have hurt somebody or yourself, something you wish you hadn't done or you regret deeply because you know the consequences of that action will result in you experiencing that thing much greater in the future. So think specifically about a moment that you regret and allow your heart to find the mistake. And not with guilt, but with intelligent regret, wish you could reverse it. That you could clean the world from that. And make a small commitment to try not to do that action again for a time that you can commit to. And then be happy you've made a dent onto that negative karma or that action in your world. And in doing so, step into the opposite. Feeling of joy for having done good in your life. Think back in the last day or so at some action that you did of body, speech or mind that brought some goodness into the world, some wisdom, some happiness, some joy, where you gave somebody something that they cherished, that made them happy. Maybe it was your time if they were lonely. Maybe it was your words if they were lost. Think of a specific moment and don't be shy. Allow the feeling of happiness to occur in your heart. Be proud you did a good thing, because you want to do a lot more of those. and relive that moment and share it with your heart teacher and watch them love that moment with you. And just think all the other people in the room with you now are thinking of the same thing, having done a beautiful thing in the world. And be happy for them that they have specific moments of goodness in their world, and that they can feel joy about them. And then look at your heart teacher and ask them please to always teach you, regardless your circumstance, at no time to ever stop teaching you. It doesn't matter if you're sitting at home or if you're sleeping or if you're working or if you're walking. At every turn may they appear to you in all your senses, showing you the steps to enlightenment. Ask them to please always teach you. And you see them lean forward and agree. And as they do, take the opportunity to ask them to always stay. Stay close to you until you reach your goals. And as you ask them that, they start rising up and turning, facing the same direction you're facing, and begin to shrink down and tighten in intensity. They become brighter and smaller until they're the size of your thumb. And they sit just at the crown of your head, not quite touching, but feel the sensation there in the crown of your head. As that compact wisdom and compassion just shower you with all its qualities from your Lama, from your teacher. And somehow in that is locked all the answers for you. Understanding that, learning from that Lama. Having the code to figure it out is locked in that. And when you're ready, you can open your eyes. I'm having a little shower inside my shirt. It's nice. Can we put the fan a little bit higher? Is anybody else nice and cool? Good. Okay. Hi. So, what are we learning? Who can remember? Because we haven't seen each other for a week. So 2 weeks really. So who can remember what we're learning? A volunteer, please. This is interactive.
Buddhist Refuge.
Anita? Say it loud, really proudly, even if you make a mistake. The karma of trying is better than not trying. What is that? That's the book we're studying, by the way. Well, it's one of the books we're studying. Ornament of Realizations. By whom? Yeah, Master Asanga. Wow. That wasn't what I was expecting as the answer, because we're actually studying the commentary of the commentary to the commentary of that. Yeah, because that's in code. But why are we studying that? Because that in itself, the ornament of realizations, is ornament, like jewelry, that gets put onto those beings who have had realizations. Today we're going to talk about some of those realizations and why they're important. But we're studying Master Asanga's ornament of realization because it comments on what? I'm going to give you a hint. It's called the Yum. Yum, yum, yum. The mother. Mother what? The mother that gives birth to all Buddhas, which is, everybody?
Wisdom.
Perfection of wisdom. Yeah? Good, so at least we know what we're doing. What's the name of the course?
Buddhist Refuge.
Buddhist Refuge, right? What is refuge? Because I want to make it very relevant, okay? What is refuge? Ask yourself. There's no point in learning this stuff unless you can apply it when you walk out on the street and the taxi driver goes, and you're like, I'm upset and now I'm disturbed and now I'm angry. Unless you can, at that moment, unless you can take refuge, which refuge does what? Protects you. Beautiful, right? It's really simple. Yeah, it protects you. But unless you can actually have, and we can have lots of refuge, right? Like, I've got no money in my wallet. I'm a little bit distressed because I can't get that cup of coffee, so I'll find an ATM for refuge, and there's the cash. Ka-ching, right? Oh, the bank account is empty. Now I'm distressed again, so I'll have to go work harder. So a week later comes and I got the cash. Ka-ching! So we're going for refuge all the time. Buddhist refuge is ultimate refuge, they say. They say if you figure this refuge out, no amount of this or the cash in the thing is going to disturb you. If you really figure it out. It's the ultimate cure to any disturbing existence as a human thing. So it's worth finding out how to get to it. So that's why we're doing this course. Course 2 of the ACI program is Buddhist Refuge. What is that ultimate thing that will prevent us from being hurt, disturbed, annoyed, angry, depressed, sad, blah? Destroys all that because you understand how to go for refuge. What will be the thing that protects ultimately? This, I love it. Beautiful. Yes, correct. But I didn't quite hear it, so say it again.
Realize that it's coming from you, or from the seed.
Good. So that's the ultimate answer. So the ultimate answer is realize that it's coming from you, from the seeds that you planted. Right? That doesn't quite help me because I'm trying that, but it's not quite helping. I'm still angry sometimes. So how can that help me? I'm glad you asked. We're going to talk about it today. But I wanted you to remember, you come here, you meet yourselves, we're talking about refuge. There's a relevance to all this information. Today's stuff is going to be a little bit heady. Is that permanent marker up there?
Yeah, we need to go.
Nice.
Yeah.
So that's funny. We might have to put it here rather than waste time doing that. And
not permanent.
this definitely not permanent. Everything is changeable. Thank you very much, Chris. Everybody, that's Chris. He's a weirdo. Watch out. Yeah. In a good way. In a good way.
In the best way.
Yeah. In the best way. We shared a room in the retreat. That's where we met. He's a nice guy. So we got that. Now, does anybody remember anything from class 3, which we did twice, sort of? Remember I asked you in last class to read, to prepare the long definition of bodhicitta, right? This is a short definition. Who can give me the short definition? Interactive class.
The wish for enlightenment for all beings.
Yep, the wish to achieve total enlightenment for the sake of every living being, or something like that. Good. And so the long one is, does someone have it to read? First, it is
the main mental.
Really loud, like you're a foghorn.
First, it is the main mental awareness belonging to the greater way.
Yep, which is for?
Which is focused on achieving total enlightenment for the benefit of others, and which is matched with a state of mind that is associated with it, the aspiration to achieve total enlightenment. And second, it is a knowledge belonging to the greater way, which acts as a door for entering the greater way, and which is included into the activity side of standard division into two of view and activity.
Great, so you've all remembered that, right? Yeah. Let's. It's a quick quiz on. Actually, it's a quick quiz on last class. Is to find out why we say a few things in there. Before I go there, who is doing homeworks and quizzes in the room honestly and openly, even if you did it sometimes? Put up your hand. Yeah?
I have.
Okay, good. Okay, let me just motivate you, if I can. Yeah? It will help you infinitely, not a little bit, not sometimes, it'll help you infinitely in the time that you spend here if you spend 10 minutes, 7 minutes doing the 1-pager or 2-pager homeworks or quizzes. I don't care if you don't do the homeworks. I'd rather you do the quizzes when you come. It will help you infinitely. And I don't mean figuratively. I mean it literally. Something happens when you try and commit these things, these ideas on paper, you hear yourself talk them, you cement something. Not only that, when you're halfway through your enlightenment career and someone asks you a question, you might be able to answer them because you remember them. Not only that, I've recently been charged with finding out all those human beings that have done the 18 ACI courses, of which we're up to the middle of the second one. So it's early days yet, you can still catch up. And anybody that has done that and has not been recorded as having completed homeworks or quizzes and the rest, my job is to get them to do it so we can have Western style Geshe debate exams and offer them, begin that tradition in the West properly. Okay? So it's going to call the Marok, which is mother helping or something like that. Ma is mother, rock, someone can find out. It doesn't mean stone. Yeah, Marok. And so over the next couple of years, we'll be inviting people from across the United States, Canada, and other places who have done the 18 courses on record, like submitted homeworks and quizzes for grading. And we'll have maybe once or twice a year, we'll have a debate either here or in public place. The process for that is we grab a random 100 set of most important questions in the 18 courses, and then Cliff, you'd be awesome at this. Yeah. And then no, you would. And then we challenge them. Like they'll get the questions in advance. They don't know which out of the 100 questions they will get. They might get 5 or they might get 15. And then a group of us learned people, meaning I've checked the questions and answers before, right? That's what that means. Get to debate them on see how clear they are on their answer. So we'll try and break their answers. And when they pass, they become a Western scholar capable of teaching this stuff. The first time in America. Well, second time really, but try it. It'll do you good. And then you can really help people. You can really, really help people. Because this lets you understand the nature of things in a way deeper way than we're accustomed to in the West. So I encourage you, if you have not began doing your homeworks and quizzes, it's so early in the game, and you plan to do some of these courses, you can do them online, you can start ACI 1 and 2, and then do 5, and then come back and do 3. But if you're doing them, add 5-10 minutes to the end of every class. Do an exam or a quiz. It's not about getting it right. It's actually about finding out what you don't know. Because that will motivate you to figure out, why don't I know that? Or figuring out how it can help you. Like that link is what helps you. So is that enough, or do I have to keep going?
More.
Just do it. Okay. So, why do we say main mind, Cliff? I want the answer that's expected, not your answer. Because you asked the Geshe, right? Yeah.
It's a principal mind, which is a mind that apprehends its object directly. I hope that's the answer that you want.
It's part of the answer that I want. What would happen if you didn't include the word main mind in that definition? That bodhicitta is something, it's just a mind. What would happen if you didn't include that?
You can either think it was the wish to achieve enlightenment or the wish to help all other beings.
Yeah. So there's two aspects to bodhicitta, to the wish to achieve enlightenment. mind can apprehend that. It can't hold two thoughts at once. To help every living being, wish enlightenment. Help every living being, wish enlightenment. Help every living being. You could think that one or the other is actually the wish. So the idea of calling it the main mind, this sponge awareness, this overall awareness, not a function, not a mental function, but the mind, the main mind, is if we left that out, you could think that one or the other was the wish. And so you're like, I want to get enlightened, so I've got the wish. I've got bodhicitta. Yeah. So it's broader than that. Good. So why would we have the word mental in there? Not you.
Because it happens in the mind.
I like the uncomfortable silence. Sorry.
Because it happens in the mind.
Yeah, but if we left it out, if we left the word mental out of that long definition, which is the wish for enlightenment, which is
the main mental
first is the main mental awareness belonging to the greater way, which is focused on achieving total enlightenment for the benefit of everyone, which is a state of mind that is associated with it. Main mental awareness. Why would we leave that? If we left that out, what could the Tibetans who thought too much about these things mistaken it for?
It could be sensory awareness or just consciousness about the Buddha.
No. So an enlightened being can taste with its finger, can smell with its skin, etc. So if you don't say mental, because I think that's what Geshe described as well, if you don't say mental, for those philosophers who want to talk about, well, if this is the definition, it must also apply to an enlightened being, a Buddha, and a Buddha can smell with his skin. So if you don't say it's the mental awareness, you could say that he could have bodhicitta in his finger. Yeah, and that's not true. Okay? It's a main mental awareness. Good. Sensory consciousness of an enlightened being. Good on you for the answer. What is not the wish if we left out the word belonging to the greater way?
But doesn't already saying main imply greater way?
Main?
Like with the main mind? Because
No, main mind is just all this the sensory consciousness, the mental consciousness. That's what main mind is.
Oh, it doesn't mean the two, like both wanting enlightenment and...
Yeah, it does.
But isn't that part of the greater way? Like because you want it for others and not just yourself?
Say again.
I thought that the greater way was not just the wish for enlightenment for yourself, but for others.
Mm-hmm.
And if you've already said the main mind, you've already included both.
So you're saying it's superfluous to include the greater way?
Yeah.
It's just to differentiate. Remember the class before where we talked about the self-made Buddhas and that distinction in Buddhists and self-made Buddhas and listeners, yeah? And everybody's got this definition of enlightenment, which they, from this school, we say that that's lower nirvanas, yeah? If you don't include the word greater way, it could be mistaken that we're describing a nirvana, a lower nirvana for the listeners and group. That's all.
Isn't it referring to Mahayana? To the Mahayana path?
Yeah, to the Mahayana
greater
path.
way is
Absolutely, Mahayana path. Yeah, which is excluding those other two. From this point of view, if you had that point of view, you'd have a slightly different perspective. Yeah. Why is this important? Just making the distinction. Just talking about it. How does this help you get refuge? Hello.
I
was scratching.
Yeah. No, I guess it's like you guys just pointed out that it was about total enlightenment rather than just nirvana, which you wouldn't be able to help the other beings.
Exactly, which is
So
another
yeah.
question. If you put total enlightenment,
Yeah.
Okay, good. So if you're sick or tired of things not working out in life, that means if you've lived long enough to figure out things break easily, if you've lived long enough to see people that you love get sick and die, get old and sick and die, if you lived long enough to be disappointed with everything you wish for and then you get it and somehow you're unhappy with it, if if you know that pattern, and some of us get to learn it early enough because we have a magnificent tragedy that hurts deeply, and then we want to figure it out, and some of us don't get it until we start falling apart, then a couple of things can happen to you. You want to figure it out so you don't hurt, or you want to figure it out and you realize that your mom and your brother and your sister and your lover and your friend and your cousins are all doing the same thing and they don't even know that it's coming, this understanding. So if you want to figure it out and you want to get happy, if you want to deal with it and there is a way, then you should find out and investigate all the possible iterations of what this is, this figuring it out, this achieving nirvana, enlightenment, getting better, getting hit, whatever you call it. You should figure it out. And so there's been people called Buddhists and Hindus and all sorts of people investigating these things. And this is just one way of explaining how the human condition can be fixed. So if we include the greater way, it's just out of this particular school of thinking, that's the Mahayana. They say that once that the big human condition problem can be fixed, you can remove suffering permanently. And then, you could just do that, or you could say, well, I want to help you too. Or I really wish other people could be freed from that too, when they come to it. So it's just that. If we left out the word total, you answered that. Blah blah blah. Let's begin class. Now, today we're talking about bodhicitta. Do you remember ACI 1? ACI 1 was called what? The first course we did for 12 weeks.
The 3 principal paths.
The 3 principal paths. And in Tibetan, for those of you who are very scholarly,
So,
good, excellent. Thank you very much for remembering that. Written by around about good. Someone find him in the room for me.
in the right.
Oh yeah, okay, could be. I don't know.
Get the pointy hat up.
Yeah, good on ya. Sorry, Australian for congratulations. So we're going to divide that now. So the Lamson Namsum, the 3 principal paths, are these 3 states of mind which are necessary if you are going to fix that human condition. If you're going to permanently remove suffering from your existence, it's possible. You have to have these 3 states of mind, and which means you have to understand them. The very first of these states of mind is called the path of renunciation. Sick and tired of the girlfriend leaving, cheating, hating, crying. Sick and tired of the boyfriend doing the same. Sick and tired of that new suit that I bought. As soon as I put it on, it doesn't quite look good. Sick and tired of feeling fat in the morning after doing dieting. Sick and tired of not getting satisfaction. I get no satisfaction. Yeah? I'll tell you the story of me getting my green card. I was here in the 90s studying this stuff with Geshe, holy Geshe and Roach and the team. And I wanted to stay here, desperately wanted to stay. Because I was beginning to understand it, I thought. It was beginning to unfold for me. And then I realized that I had to have morality, I had to practice morality to plant the right karmas so my world could be beautiful. And I was illegal here. I wasn't allowed to be here. I had overstayed my welcome for years. And I thought, I can't keep doing that. I can't keep getting Dharma, beautiful teachings that help me unfold reality, even if it comes from Tibet, yeah, even if it is from a holy angel that I'm perceiving, and then be imbuing it every minute of the day with, I am breaking a law. I am deceiving a government. That's a karma. So I took the option to be upfront and honest and go and do the right thing and apply properly and go back to Australia and wait for the response. And my lawyer said, it'll be 4 weeks and you can get it. I told my business, the customers, and my partner that I'll be back in 4 weeks. I was just taking a vacation, and 4 weeks turned into 6, turned into 9, turned into months, turned into appeals, turned into rejection, turned into more appeals, turned into every cent in my savings account disappearing, turned into somebody please go and pack my apartment, turned into I never came back for 9 years. Yeah. So totally separated from that. And so I knew that if I had to plant the courses to be able to come back, to have these experiences, to really let it flower cleanly, that I had to work hard to clean that karma and any other karma preventing me from being in the presence of beings that were teaching me how to remove suffering permanently from a human consciousness. There's nothing greater than that. So I had to make extraordinary efforts to do that. So I went to work, and I made my efforts. And I failed miserably sometimes, but I learned. And so every single action I would imbue with my level of understanding about correct view. And it's like it's like writing a love letter to yourself that will come to you in 10 years' time. It's like you're just planting a garden that will come to you in 10 years' time. And it came. I came for a visit. 3 people offered me work, legal work, with a visa. I had to confront the embassy and say, took the form. They said, have you ever been illegal in the United States? And I had to go, yes. And hope that they'd let me in, because I wasn't sure if they had record of me being legal or not. But I was cleaning karmas. Very conscious, long time. And so I get my visa to work here. And then I get, my lawyer says, you can change this visa to a more permanent visa that lets you work anywhere. And that happened in just 6 months. And then within a month of that, I got my green card. Unheard of, she said. I mean, the fulfillment of a garden, the fulfillment of a wish that takes 10 years to come back. I get the green card in the mail. And I'm like, now what I want this for? In first thought. It's like, oh, and now? That's the human condition. It sucks. You don't want that. You want joy and happiness and not this dissatisfaction with all the efforts and love and goodness. Lucky for me, all those karmas, they're coming, And that one was a result of some other stupid thing. You don't want to work really hard for a career that you turn around and say, I don't want this. You don't want to work really hard for a house that you buy, you move into and I've got to renovate it. You don't want to work really hard to fall in love with the girlfriend or the boyfriend that's got all the attributes you've ever wanted, and then 2 weeks later, a month later, 3 months later, you're dissatisfied and looking for other things. We're so in it, we don't see it. So there's a thing called ultimate refuge, which can help us. So we talked about that already. So the second of the path, so renunciation is getting sick and tired of that. That's one of the states of mind. You have to be aware that everything that's coming at you has that shitty flavor. It does. Everything that's coming at you in this iteration, in this gross body, in this world, has that shitty flavor. And so be on the lookout, and as you are on the lookout, you can fix it if you know the other 2 mindsets, which is, remember Lamson Amson, we've just talked about renunciation. You just got a little lung about it. The second part is bodhicitta. Okay, and here's my pet peeve, bodhicitta. Good. What's it mean?
Sick of it for others.
Good. Sick of it for others. You want to stop it for others, yeah? You want to reach somewhere beyond that yuckiness. You think it's possible. It assumes so many things. You think it's possible to stop that suffering. And then you want to find it, you want to reach it, for the sake of others. Others including your future self, by the way. Yeah, you're also an other. So, and how do you do that? What's the third path? Correct view of what? Emptiness, which is just a word. Here's my pet peeve. Someone just described to me, because I thought correct view was such a bad translation, you know, like it's correct and that's incorrect. I thought Buddhists were supposed to just like everything, you know. No, you're not supposed to like everything. You're supposed to really, really, really dislike unhappiness and suffering, by the way, but not in an ignorant way, with emptiness, with an understanding of where that comes from. Correct view lets you see the movie that we're in, lets you see that things are falling apart, things are not what they seem, that there's something else behind them, that things don't lack an existence from their own side. There's nothing here producing your unhappiness. That comes from an internal process, something beyond this thing that you can fix. So that's correct view. If you've got those three states of mind, you're on your way. Congratulations, today is your day. You're off to great places, you're off and away. So today's class, because we're talking about the ornament of realizations, yeah? These are little jewels that you put on a thing called the realization, all the ornaments that you put on realized beings. It's a very special book. We're going to focus on bodhicitta. And we're going to divide bodhicitta into 4 types, or 3 types, and then I'll add it. Yeah? There's different ways to look at bodhicitta. Really want to get down there and investigate. If you're going to reach this state, if you're going to permanently remove your suffering for the sake of others, what does it look like? What's it taste like? Yeah? The more you get into this depth, so we're going to get to the lists, yeah? The more you get this, then you can level up, you see, because you know the depth of it, and then when you're living and breathing it, there's a certainty, there's a certainty that you know more than what you need to know to experience it. Does that make sense? Having said that, let's begin. To show you the 4 classifications of bodhicitta, or some different ways to divide bodhicitta, I must first tell you that there are 5 paths to Buddhahood. But I just told you there were 3. Damn it. So, the 5 paths, and this is just a summary, we're not learning it, but I need you to know it to a degree. Who wants to write for me? Soglam. I can write for me. Is your writing good?
No.
You didn't say good.
So then, don't...
But I'm going to make it.
Good on you. So, say Soglam. Thank you. Actually, you're writing that one first. I can't give you the page. Actually, I can. Bear with me a second and I will provide this being with...
This isn't permanent, right?
Doesn't say erase on it.
Apparently nothing is permanent. Can you do that one? Just the Tibetan? That one here, I can give you that. But the Tibetan that's got the numbers in front of it. The Tibetan that's got the numbers in front of it. And the Tibetan that's got the numbers in front of it. So don't do those. Just do 1, 2, 3, 4. Then do 1, 2, 3. Then do 1, 2. Just empty.
And all the descriptions too?
No, just the Tibetan, just the
the-
capital letters.
Okay.
Thank you. Birdie. Okay. So this might get a little complicated, okay? There's 5 paths, but we talked about the 3 principal paths being the 3 principal states of mind, right? Anyway, let's give it a go. Does anybody know the 5 paths to reach enlightenment? I know 4. You know 4 and 5? Okay. Okay. The first path, Soglam, is the path of accumulation. Okay? So these are important. Write them down. Because they're not going to stay in your head if you don't write them down. I'll give you a little trick to make your karma very, very special. Okay? You just know the 5 of them. Good on you. As you're writing them down, as you're observing your pen hit the paper, think to yourself that you're going to use those scribbles that really don't have a meaning from their own side to help somebody become enlightened. So if you want to add power to the way the karma of writing these holy words on your pieces of paper are going to emerge to you, that's a karma planted, and it's going to sit in your garden of your mind, and over time it'll flower. If you want to give it fertilizer from the beginning, write it with intention to use it. Write it with intention to benefit others. It's a little practical tip on how to A, not forget, B, trick you into writing, C, make a powerful karma. So the first path is the path of
Accumulation.
what does that mean? What are you accumulating?
Big karma.
Huh?
Merit or renunciation.
Okay. Merit. Mainly from having renunciation, yeah? But then also all the activities you do, you're also, yeah? So you need to know these, okay? And the next one is preparation. Yeah, so you, what are you preparing for? Cool. Wow, she's a good teacher. Yeah, I know. Yeah. So you're preparing to see the ultimate nature of reality, to see emptiness directly. This means you're preparing to see emptiness by understanding things intellectually, predominantly. Yeah? So the first path is the path of accumulation. You get renunciation, you're sick and tired of it, you enter the path of accumulation. Now, just to put a little screw in it, what happens if you don't have the wish to help every living being, and you generate true renunciation, which lets you enter into the path of accumulation? What happens if you just can't, you don't have the capacity to care for everyone else, right? You just go, I just can't do it. I'm sick and tired. I see that things don't work. Okay? Do you still enter the path of accumulation if you don't care? The answer is of course yes. Okay. Now, if you enter the path of accumulation and you're in the Mahayana path, what does that mean? You enter it with what? With bodhicitta, with the wish to help other people, right? So just think of it. You're sick and tired. You have another failure in your life and another failure in your life, and you're like, I can't do it anymore. I am sick and tired. There's something naturally springs forth from you, and depending already where your motivation is, if you're in the bodhisattva track, you're a Mahayanist. Okay? Because you're sick and tired, so you can figure out in the sake of others. And then you begin the path of preparation, which is you begin to investigate this correct view thing. You begin to look for and understand, why are things not working? How come they don't work? Let me study. Let me sit in a classroom, listen to some dude with silly stories, and figure it out for me. Like, it's nothing to do with me, really, ultimately, or the lineage, where it really does come from and the rest. It doesn't mean anything unless it stops with you. Unless you could stop something horrible in your life. So you start preparing for something. You start searching for answers, and you study hard. And the information is there. It's always, this is what gets me about the path of preparation. Wisdom on this planet has always been here. All through the Middle Ages, all through people living and dying through wars, all through your first love affair breaking apart, through the first time you experienced real suffering, you didn't know where things... Wisdom is in the world. It exists. It was always available to you, and somehow it's just emerging now. I like it, but it would frustrate me. So in the path of preparation...
So, did you say that once you've seen emptiness directly,
Or do you?
Haven't gotten there yet. You're way ahead. Are you listening to my thoughts? Are you preparing? Are you doing something there? Let's go from Jorlam, which is the path of preparation, to
Path of
Tonglam, path of seeing. So you're sick and tired. Renunciation means the path of you're accumulating merit. Then you start figuring it out. You prepare for an experience, and then you enter the path of seeing, which is probably the shortest and yet the most meaningful of all paths. Which is what?
Direct perception.
You enter a direct perception of emptiness. It can last anywhere between 10, 15, 20, 30 minutes. Yeah? And to be in the path of seeing, you must be in a deep state of meditation. You're not actually even in your body. You're not here. You're in a different realm called the form realm. And so the path of seeing is that direct perception of emptiness.
The thing with the you aren't anywhere.
Correct. Yeah. There's no. Yeah. There is. They say it's like pouring water into water. You can't be in the state of seeing emptiness directly and have a thought about, oh, I'm watching myself having an experience of emptiness. Yeah, because then you're out. You're not there. So they're correct. Yeah, but I didn't mean to imply that.
Oh, sure.
Yeah. So the path of seeing is the direct perception of emptiness, where for the first time, after you come out of it, you realize that you've had the first correct perception of reality, and that every other perception you've had was mistaken. That you had seen things coming this way, where things in reality were happening that way on two black screens.
Is that very different than any spiritual experience people talk about, or is that all, even if they don't know about Buddhism and emptiness?
Yeah, I mean, that's an interesting question. You don't have to be a Buddhist to have this experience.
No, I know, but even if you don't prepare or accumulate, because people have that they always explain.
Well, one would say that you've had those. These are scientists of the mind trying to identify and explain how one comes to those realizations. So my answer to that would be, you would still have accumulated some merit, even if you haven't called it accumulating Buddhist merits. You would have had the wish to investigate reality, to prepare for an experience, and then you have the thing. And you don't have to call it anything. You don't have to call it this. In fact, you probably wouldn't.
But people don't come out necessarily saying, oh, well, everything comes from me. They just come out with a sense of wonder, they just come out with a sense of there's spiritual real.
It depends. I don't know how other people perceive this, honestly. I've only heard them describe it.
These things might happen in slightly different orders and over different periods of time, but maybe the reason that people study them is so that as these doors unlock, you're able to look back at the sort of outline of the way to get there and say, oh,
that's what happened.
It just propels it more quickly.
That's okay, as well. Yeah.
I was just thinking that if somebody were to believe in past lives, maybe they did their accumulation, preparation, the past life, and in the next life, they would have known they've done that, but they just kind of fell into that.
Correct. I mean, after the path of seeing comes the path of, I want to get through this quickly so I can actually get to the class, but all really good thoughts. But so let's go to the path of habituation, which means you habituate what?
After you've seen emptiness.
You habituate your mind to what you've just seen, to the experience you've just had. So after you've come out of the experience, you begin to have, the world begins to reassert itself like it did before. Things coming from their own side. The boyfriend really being a shitty person from their own side. The bad job or the bad boss coming from being angry from their own side. The world begins to assert itself in that way. But you are now, because you've gone through the path of seeing, you are physically a very different creature in the universe. It is the marker. You can divide beings in the universe between those that have seen the ultimate nature of things, have seen emptiness directly, and those that haven't. And they are very different beings altogether. Prior to the experience of seeing emptiness directly, we are caught up in this cycle, unaware, yet even if intellectually we can believe it or understand it, after having a direct perception, things still come at you with that old flavor. The difference being, you know that it's mistaken. You know that it's a lie. You know that there is no shitty boss that comes from their own side. There is no disappointing girlfriend. There is no green card that holds no happiness. And that's the path of habituation, where you begin to see experiences like they used to come, and you don't trust them anymore. You know that that's not the way they function. And so you begin to habituate your mind into understanding truly, because you've seen, you've had the experience, it's in your DNA. And so you start then breaking down the old habits, habituating to a new way of being. And the last path out of these 5 paths, which we haven't started talking in the class yet, but these are important, is the path of
No more learning.
no more learning. What did you call it?
I said no further.
No further?
Yeah, I don't know. I was gonna ask.
Yeah, the path of no more learning. So,
Bless you.
bless you, in a Christian way. That was a joke. So now, I had to do this in preparation for the class so I could explain it. Can you all see this silly table there? Yeah? So there's the 5 paths over here, because related to the 5 paths are going to be these 4 types of bodhicitta. If we divide them, if we divide them against those levels of the 5 paths, depending on your spiritual understanding. So just bear with me. Is everybody on the same track? Do you feel like you understand things so far? Yeah, there's these 5 paths. Actually, going back to the Lamsong Namsung, the 3 principal paths, can you see how they fit into those 5 paths?
This is more progress.
Yeah, this is more progressive. Great, thank you. Okay, so if we're going to divide bodhicitta, there's just this one way of dividing bodhicitta. So bodhicitta, let's say in, say Mupa. Mupa is now there. Yeah, Chupe. Semke. What's Semke? Bodhicitta, good, Semke. You remember that one, okay? Mupa means belief, and Chupa means act. Chupe. So this means, this first of those 4 divisions is bodhicitta in a being that thinks things are self-existent, sees things as self-existent, meaning the angry boss, it's his fault. Yeah? The bad girlfriend, it's her fault. She's why I'm suffering. Yeah? He's why I'm angry. Yeah? The taxi driver, it's them that caused this thing in me. So they see things as self-existent, meaning things come from themselves. They are the cause of these feelings, of these responses, of these actions, of the movements inside of my reality. They cause it. But they believe they're Lama. They believe they're teacher. They believe that they have some belief that somebody's explained things like I just have, that things don't come from themselves. And they go, that sounds correct. I believe in that, so I'm going to try and make efforts to see the world that way. Yeah? So they have the wish to get enlightened. You get it? They have bodhicitta, but this is the first type of bodhicitta when you divide it into these 5 parts. They have this thing called a belief bodhicitta. A belief that, because they haven't quite figured it all out yet, but it makes some kind of sense. Things don't come from themselves, things are coming from me. I haven't quite got it 100%, I have to manipulate it in my head, but I've got enough belief in this teacher or this book or whatever it is that you're learning from, that that's the way things are, so I want to figure that out for the sake of everybody else, right? I have bodhicitta. I want to get better for the sake of everyone else. And although I may not really understand the nature of things, yeah, I'm giving it a go. So that's called belief bodhicitta. And out of the 5 paths, so the first path is you're sick and tired, renunciation. The second path is
Oh, well,
Which
in
path?
which
in the
one?
5 paths.
Oh, in the
Out of the 5 paths. The first path is accumulation, preparation, seeing, habituation, no more learning. Which of all these 5 paths would you think the wish in a belief would come from? Would correlate to? If you're a being in any one of those 5 spiritual levels, yeah, so you're a certain spiritual level when you get renunciation and you're in the path of accumulation, yeah, you're a certain being when you've got a little bit past that and you've entered the path of habituation, sorry, yeah, no, preparation. Are you with me so far? Yeah. So at those different spiritual levels, where would you think this kind of bodhicitta would sit? Belief bodhicitta.
The second.
The second, someone says. Cliff says the first.
The accumulation.
It's actually both are correct. It sits in the first and in the second. Ta-da! Correct. So if you're no, the good thing about it is that you're thinking about it. Yeah, it's good. It's good. So bear with me if you can. So you are entering a path. You have the wish for enlightenment. Yeah, but you are at the level of renunciation. You're accumulating merit. Yeah, and so this wish without full in-depth understanding, but you just believe that what they've explained makes sense, it's logical. I'll try and investigate that. That's belief bodhicitta. Does that work?
Why is it like
But if you've seen a glimpse of emptiness, it's no longer belief. You know it. So why is there belief in emptiness?
Well, let me get through it, and then we'll see how it divides. No, but that's a good question.
Sorry, but what do you mean a glimpse of emptiness? Because I don't think emptiness, you can even see a glimpse of it. You can have an intellectual understanding of it, but seeing a glimpse of emptiness sounds like weird.
Well, I'm talking like if you open a door and there's a movie playing, and you just kind of peek in, you see the movie, maybe you only saw it for a couple of seconds or a minute or two, but you know that there's a movie there. You don't no longer believe because somebody told you there's a movie in that theater. You know that there's a movie theater. You had a glimpse of it. You haven't gone further enough to stabilize that experience or to produce it at will, but you had a glimpse. It's like we were saying before, you could just be walking along the road and all of a sudden you look up and boom, there it is. Or it doesn't have to be a Buddhist. It could be any religion and experience it. But I'm saying a brief experience, maybe a glimpse is not a good word.
Well, that would make it dependent on time, and I don't think that the perception of emptiness is any related to time, because even if you see it only for the millionth part of a second, it's still a perception, and no matter how long or how short it is, it's independent from time, because ultimate reality is independent from time.
So if you've been meditating and you have, I'm going to call your glimpse, I'm going to correlate his glimpse to your intellectual understanding. Yeah, that's what I'm making the assumption. Because you either have a direct experience where you're not there and you're not a being observing yourself having the experience, or you did. So you either did have it or you didn't have a direct experience of emptiness. And you would know if you have, okay? So the belief as a wish is for the path of accumulation and preparation. The second way of dividing, so it's say laksam, dakpe semke. And just out of curiosity, who's heard the word laksam before? Okay, who's heard the word laksam in this class before? Last ACI course. which was what? There were 7 ways that were 8 ways to develop bodhicitta. Do you remember that?
7-step method. Yeah.
The 7-step method. What was the 6th one? It was laksam, which means what?
Taking responsibility.
Taking personal responsibility, right? So you say, okay, if it's gonna be, it's up to me, and it doesn't matter if everybody says I can't do it, I'm not doing it right, they're not, whatever they say, you're doing it. Yep. You've made, you've got this thing in your heart. It's actually the thing that flips you over to bodhicitta. It's the one before 7, right? In the 7-course method. So laksam here, say laksam dakte semke, is the wish with personal responsibility. So you can call it the personal responsibility wish. A second type of bodhicitta, if you look at it, if you label it according to your spiritual level. So where do you think that sits in the 5 paths?
What is it?
Preparation.
Laksam dakpe semke. We're dividing 4 things into 5, and we've just killed 1 and 2.
Yes. Number 3. Seeing.
It's a path of seeing. Okay? So this is you've had a direct perception of emptiness. You know that things are lying to you, because in meditation you see things in the direct perception of emptiness, but when you come out of meditation you see things as self-existent. It's still forced on you. You haven't yet entered the path of habituation. Yeah? So it's correlated to the 3rd and the first half of the 4th. Sorry. Just to make it difficult. Bear with me because it'll get better. Laksam dakpe semke is bodhicitta in the mind of a person who has given up the intellectual belief in self-existence because they've seen emptiness directly. Yeah, they've given up that intellectual belief in self-existence, but they're still forced to experience self-existence. So it covers the path of seeing and the first half of the path of habituation. Does that make sense to you? This will all help you help other people. I'm certain of it. Yeah. Who's heard of the 10 bodhisattva bhumis? Anyone? The bhumis, the 10 bodhisattva bhumis.
I can speak those.
Huh? Yeah. So, do you remember where the first bhumi is?
Seeing emptiness.
Wow, you've had a really good teacher.
Normalizing it.
Yeah, she's amazing, right? Yeah. So yeah, the first bodhisattva bhumi, which are 10 levels of a bodhisattva, begins in the path of seeing. Yeah. So in terms of, for those of you who care, in terms of the wish in the personal responsibility, is bhumis 1 through to 7, okay? Which covers the path of seeing and the first half of the path of habituation. I tell you, you're going to need my little chart at some point. So, the path of personal responsibility, the personal responsibility as a wish, sorry, ignore that I said the path, is bodhicitta in the mind of a person who has seen emptiness directly. They're still forced to see things as self-existent that they know is not true. Okay? So that kind of person, that kind of evolved spiritual being, their wish is this personal responsibility, which is like, it's up to me now because I know how things work. Does that make sense? Good. Let's go for the third one, which is, say, Nampar? Yeah? Minpe Semke. Which is ripening. Mapar Nipe means ripening. This is bodhicitta in the mind of a person who no longer sees things as self-existent because they've had the direct perception of emptiness, have began the path of habituation, they began to experience things as not self-existent in the real world, not just in meditation. Yeah? It's the second half of the path of habituation. Yeah, and I'm not dividing that path into anything specifically just yet. It'll be divided in the Buddhist. But here's the key. They still have subtle seeds in their mind that haven't yet extinguished to see things as self-existent. They don't see things as self-existence, but they retain some seeds in their minds left through the path of habituation. They're getting rid of those seeds, right? They're getting habituated to the way things really are. So they will still have a boss in front of them pretending to be angry. Here's the difference, okay? So I've made a commitment. Let's go through the 5 parts. I've made a commitment that I'm going to get out of this cycle of suffering, because I no longer want my mum or any one of my mothers to suffer ever again, including me. Yeah? So I'm sick of it. I'm tired. Don't want it anymore. I really, really want to figure it out. And I have this spontaneous wish. And that's the path of the first of the 5. Yeah. So I go to my job. My boss is yelling at me. And I've made my commitment, right? I'm sick and tired of it. And here's my boss yelling at me. And I really want to get out of this suffering. So what's my wish to help him? Because you're not going to get enlightened by helping some person in China, by the way. You're going to get enlightened by helping this living being and that living being and that living, the ones that are close to you. Your mum, your sister, your brother, your angry cousin, the people in the subway, the people you feel and see and touch. The ones around you. It's not some fuzzy-wuzzy person in another side of the planet. It's not all sentient beings that I never see. It's not them. The ones that will get you enlightened are the angry boss, your abusive parents, yeah, your ugly ex-boyfriend. Them. So here I am. I entered the first of the 5 parts, renunciation. I really want to get free of this for the sake of all living beings. I walk into work, the boss is yelling at me. The wish in the form of belief is the thing that is arising me according to this, right? So they're yelling at me, and I'm either yelling at them or wanting to yell at them because I have not seen emptiness directly. I don't really see that they are not coming from them. It really is my boss yelling at me. It really is my boss making me angry. I see and think of them that way, but someone told me that then it's not coming from them. And so I have this belief. Yeah, and I'm like, okay, I'm going to put up with this. I'm going to try and figure it out. That's that wish. That's it. That's bodhicitta. If you genuinely want to get out of it for the sake of living beings, you realize that this is one of those beings, and as ugly as they seem, you're doing it for them too. And so you hold on to that belief, and that's your bodhicitta. That's just what it is at level 1 and 2. And then the path of seeing, you can't really talk about the path of seeing because you're not there. Emptiness directly, 15 minutes in deep, deep meditation. So let's go for the first half of the path of habituation after you have seen emptiness directly, where you get the wish in the form of personal responsibility. Yeah? Laksam. Yeah. Yeah. By the way, anyway, Lhasa was supposed to be spelled something like that.
I was supposed to write that down?
No, you did good. Thank you, Birdie. Everybody thank Birdie for writing very nicely. Thank you, Birdie. Thank you very much. So let's have a look. So now you get the wish, level 2 of the wish, or class 4, which is you've come out of seeing emptiness directly. The world reasserts itself as coming from itself. You go to work. And there's your shitty boss. And they're yelling at you again. And so you see them as coming from their side. But you've just had an experience an hour ago, and you know with certainty, without a shadow of a doubt, that it's not true. That there is no yelling, angry boss over there. That the only way that could have ever happened, that I am projecting onto that blankness, that emptiness, my past habituation, my karma, and it's ripening beautifully. The only way that I experience a yelling, angry, screaming, annoying boss is because I have been an angry, yelling, screaming something to some lesser degree to someone else. Apparently on a consistent basis, because every time I go to work they're yelling. It's a little joke, just to lighten things up. And so you say, I have this wish, I made this commitment, I really want to help every living being, including that yelling, screaming thing that is doing that, and it's my responsibility to help them too. It's not coming from them, I know. It's up to me. Yeah, it's nothing to do with them. You know that it's you. Yeah? So your wish takes a flavor. Someone speak?
I had a question.
Yeah.
Can you just clarify? This is one question I had for a long time.
Can we do it straight after the fifth part? Or you want it right now?
Well, I just want to know, when you say help them, I just don't know what you mean. Do you mean like seeing them in a different light? Therefore, they're no longer like yelling at you, being mean to you, but you see them differently? Or do you mean like actually teach them like this dharma? Or
You want to destroy them. You don't want an angry, yelling boss that's suffering over there anymore. What's bodhicitta? What's the definition of bodhicitta?
The wish to achieve enlightenment
enlightenment.
for the sake of having.
how do you actually help them? Do you like
becoming enlightened?
Are you talking about in the moment? How do you help them?
well, how do you help anyone? Do you help them become enlightened by teaching them, like bringing them here? Like, what do you actually?
Well, is this the only way you teach? How does a Buddha help you?
Like,
They
By the
teach
way
you
they
what
are.
though? Because they could teach you arithmetics.
They teach you dharma. They teach you the truth.
Teaches you what's appropriate for that time and moment and place.
That works. Yeah, that works. Ultimately though, you're ultimately helping them. So, but I had said help to substitute for bodhicitta. Yeah? The wish to achieve enlightenment for the sake of everything. But that's a really good question. And that's a good answer. Depending on the capacity and the ability of the person in front of you, you have to show and teach them, maybe by your response, but whatever you can right there to move them along that next step. Ultimately, you want them free from suffering. That's what it is. You want them free from suffering. What does that mean? That means, and we talked about it in the previous class, you don't want them to have those 5 beeps.
if it's coming from you, isn't it the only way is you can just change yourself?
Beautiful.
And like,
And then they will be suffering. We'll get there.
There's a certain magic to it. There's a certain magic to it.
Yeah. Don't be confused. You're actually on the right track. You're following the lure of that lovely scent. Enter the forest, and the ugly screaming boss will turn into an angel, just like the deer will turn into a dream god. Yeah, that teaches you stuff. So just go there. I was on the yelling, screaming boss after I've come out of seeing emptiness directly. I still see them as yelling, screaming, and angry. Okay, but I have laksam, the wish for with personal responsibility.
Would you at that point also see maybe where the karmic correlation was? So you have some insight.
Yeah, you have total insight. Yeah, you begin, because this is really the first half of the path of habituation, where you're beginning to see, these are actually the steps. The boss is now a perfect angel for you to rehabituate your mind at that very moment. Yeah? So it's perfect. Yeah? The second half of the path of habituation is ripened wish. Did I tell you what ripened wish was? Was
Yes.
Nampar? Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Why ripened?
What's the full definition of the three?
Huh?
What's the full definition of the
The full definition is, the full definition of laksam, dakpe, semke was personal responsibility is laksam, dakpe is pure, and semke, is,
Bodhicitta.
yeah, excellent. So I figured I should do that. Sorry for not saying that. Nampar nimpe is just ripening. Yeah, together those mean ripening. And Samkhya is bodhicitta, and that's bodhicitta in the mind of a person who doesn't see things as self-existent, but still has the subtle sees for it. Okay, so it's the second half of the path of habituation. You've still got the potential to see things as self-existence, and there's a debate about, I don't know the answer, whether or not that can reassert itself or not. Honestly, I don't know. But I know that there's a debate about it. But it was a question I had. I said, well, if you have the seeds, the potential seeds, surely they can ripen at some point. You know, so I took that part, and then apparently it's undecided. This means that they see things as being empty in meditation as well as outside meditation. So they have the yelling, screaming boss, and they know that there's no yelling, screaming boss from their own side. Yeah, it's ripened, bodhicitta. The wish is like it's continuing there on that thing. And the last one is, say, dripe, pakpe, semke, and dripa is obstruction, pakpe is eliminated, and samke is bodhicitta. So eliminated all obstructions, maybe. The wish with eliminated obstructions. And this is bodhicitta.
When 1, 2, and 3 are gone, basically. All the obstructions in 1, 2, and 3.
Everything is gone. What would it mean to have no obstructions? What kind of being in the spiritual spectrum would you be?
Nirvana, Buddha.
Buddha or Nirvana? Someone give me the answer. Thank you. Answer me.
I guess it's an obstruction to omniscience, and then the second one is to teach.
It depends on whether you wanted.
To total enlightenment.
If you're moving the bodhicitta,
It has to be, yeah, but if you're in the listeners track or in the other track, so at the moment we're going through the bodhisattva track. Do you see what I mean? And at this point, it would be nirvana, or it would be a full-fledged Buddha. Yeah? Okay. So there's really like 15, not 5 iterations of this if you had the other 3 tracks. We're only done the bodhisattva track. Yes?
Can you just say more than the translation of the first 2?
The first 2, yeah, I can. The mope is...
I'm sorry, all on number 4.
All on number 4. Okay, here we go. It's obstructions eliminated, bodhicitta. Okay? You're welcome. Let's have a quick break. This is, don't forget, we're getting really into depth. We did ACI 1, which is an overview of the 3 mindsets. Really get to understand all the divisions of all these things, because it will help your mind come to the limit of thinking. Question questions like you have asked, to really try and figure it out. And that tension, that resolution, that asking questions actually totally or resolves a lot of the prior level of that, just the 3 principal paths, because you've gone really into depth now into the second path. We've done one of several divisions of how to slice bodhicitta, and we've sliced bodhicitta depending on the person's spiritual level out of these 5 paths. There's also the bodhisattva bloomings, which are 10, and you can slice them that way. But you see how, as you're learning these, you're getting to see what it's like to be in the path of seeing, what it's like to be in the path of habituation. So your mind should be going, oh shit, there's all that extra stuff to do. But you're getting depth about bodhicitta in this one view, and now you're going to get depth into bodhicitta into some other views. But before we do that, after you come back really quickly from break, I'd like to introduce you to 2 beautiful secret beings, and then I want to invite you, 2. Depends how many come. And then I'd like to invite you to, if you want to, we just spent 10 days in Arizona. It was the most magical and amazing experience that I've had in a long time. I shared it with 130 precious people. And for some reason, we got insight into the secret teachings under the flavor of this is just normal. Yeah? And then there was all these unusual things happening at this retreat. We got to do 2 secret fire pujas. One being a long light, a puja is a fire offering. It's a long ritual. This one took like 14 hours plus preparation, where where we invoked the essence of long life for the world, for our teachers, by calling upon the Buddha Amitayas and what that means psychologically and so on. So I'd like to introduce you to him when you come back from break. And as part of that ritual, I'll explain the ritual when we come back. We got offered these long life pills, these pills that were made with special substances and special prayers and something, and we took a whole bunch to come and offer to you if you want some. So if you want some, you can come and get some before we start the next section, and I'll show you this little entry into Lord Buddha Amitayas. Actually, I'll show him now, which is funny because it was the first retreat I did in a cave in Nepal. This Lama, this Rinpoche, came and gave me this one, and I went to meditate in a cave in Maratika under, and he was my tanka for the entire, and I didn't understand anything about the long life Buddha Amitayas and what he meant and all that, but I was in a cave, Padmasambhava, for those of you who know what it is, and there was an emanation of this dude in that cave, and Padmasambhava saw emptiness directly in this cave where I was meditating, and in that cave appeared the long life vase, which holds the substance that is the essence of long life. And I got the water from that. Anyway, there's still the stories. For me, it's very special. I want to share it with you. Go have something to eat and then come back quick. Yeah. Thank you.